All right, people, welcome to another episode of Natty News Daily. We're missing a fellow co-host in James this morning. We had to kind of rapid get this together. We usually film these in the evenings when all our day's tasks are done, but unfortunately we couldn't line that up tonight. So me and Dan are here getting the episode to you guys today so it can be uploaded tomorrow on Friday. So quick recap, man. How are you doing? Are you prepping yet or not?
I not currently. I've kind of gotten the wheels turning a little bit, maybe at looking at doing stuff. I'm talking with Josh Bradshaw tonight actually. So
Okay.
about maybe. It's still I'm still debating it. I've got some things to weigh,
Yep.
personal things, injury things to
Yeah.
think about if it's the right decision or not. But like for the most part, physically, like I feel like I'm in a good spot. Like leanness wise, I'm decently lean now. I feel good. The only thing is like libido is a little bit down, but like other than that, I feel like
Yep.
great.
Good.
Like strength levels are still all-time highs. Like I'm still pressing the same numbers I was in the 190s, like squatting a fair bit. Like all my numbers are the same, or some of them are even a little bit better.
Yep.
So it's like I feel like I'm in a good spot. So
Awesome.
physically, for the most part, a few injuries, but
Yeah, that's you mentioned the injuries, and that's something that I just quickly wanted to touch on. If you go into a prep hurt, I don't think that's the best idea, right?
yeah,
Like for anybody that's kind of weighing out whether they're going to prep or not, whether it's this year or just in the future. If you go in injured, recovery starts to take a hit as you get deeper into prep, and those kind of little injuries are going to start to feel like a bigger injury. So I think
yeah,
good on you for recognizing that and,
yeah.
and
And
weighing that out.
James is actually helping me. He's been helping me for a few months on it. So
Yeah.
the hamstring's the major one, honestly. That's the biggest one. But he's been pretty encouraging of moving forward with it. So
Yep.
um, I don't necessarily think it's something that would definitively hold me back. And James seems pretty confident that I can keep pushing. But
Sure.
it's just something I'm considering,
Yep.
obviously. So and a
Beautiful.
lot of like personal factors too, just life situation, different
Yep.
stuff if my
Yep.
work situation changes or things like that. So
Yeah, you've got to have all your ducks in a row when prep's going to run optimally. I think anybody that's prepped has had
yeah,
those things come up that were unexpected, and it definitely takes its toll, right?
yeah,
Whether it's personal relationships, work, injury, any other stresses, like it does take a bit of a toll,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is trying to manage those things is key.
yeah. And it's like for me, it's like I'm trying to like foresee what's gonna come and foresee what
Yeah.
the future is gonna look like too. So some of it's kind of like unknown a little bit. Like if I
Yep.
move back to the office or
Uh,
I've got a decent workload for work this year. So if I have to travel, that makes things challenging. And my
for sure.
travel tends to be around the end of September and more stuff. We can talk about more
Yeah,
personal stuff offline,
for
but
sure. For sure.
yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's get into some news. So I'm a screen share, and we're gonna go over here to Mr. Steve Hall. So
Messed up.
Steve's looking good. He was on our little Natty's on the Rise episode we did there, although Steve's been around the block before. But definitely has definitely made improvements top to bottom from
He looks swole, man.
yeah, from when he competed last, looking like this year is going to be Steve's return to the stage. I believe he actually potentially tried last year, if I remember correctly, but obviously the world didn't cooperate and he shut it down. But this year, he's looking to see both the UKDFBA and the WNBF UK stages later this year, which is awesome.
Yeah. I think as you progress in bodybuilding too, as like you really get into like the advanced stages, it's like you start to look like you lift like all the time.
Yeah,
And Steve is definitely
he does look like he
getting there.
lifts.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean like 5 years back he looked good when he was lean, but when he was a little bit bulked up, it didn't show as much, but now you can see he's just, you
Yep.
know, you know, you get to that gorilla mode, you know.
His side, I love his side shots. Like his arms really, really pop in both
He's
the
got great
side
arms. Yeah,
tricep and side chest. Um, and yeah, as he gets leaner, it's only going to look better and better. But I mean, you look at
exactly.
this side tricep here, like he's got like defined abdominals here at
Yeah.
what's he say here, 196.
And that's
So
actually a big thing because that's not a, I guess, a genetically gifted body part for him. And he's touched on it before. Actually, Steve and I have talked directly on the topic. And it's something I know he's put deliberate effort into.
yeah,
So like to be able to carry abs at a massed up weight when you don't have good ab genetics is yeah, pretty awesome to
even
see.
in this front lat, you can see like vascularity in his thighs down through his calves and stuff, right?
He's
So
got he's got more veins in his legs than I do.
yeah. So just reading his post here, 30 pounds over 2017 weight. So that would put him at 166. What do you think he'll land this time on stage? Do you think he'll be heavier or just same but better, way better condition?
I have a feeling he'll be yeah, probably similar weight, better condition. I have a feeling.
I'm stoked to finally see him.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
I think he'll
I didn't really know of him, back in 2017. So the time period that I've known him, he hasn't prepped. So I'm excited to see, what's to come. And obviously with his coaching style and methodologies to really document that and learn from it, right? I think that
oh
would be
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing and he, consults a lot of, you know, really intelligent people through his podcast and
Yeah. I
in his
thought he
sphere.
posted
His
it.
sphere is really, really knowledgeable and he's very open-minded as well.
I thought he posted an older photo, but maybe it was just on his story. But it was I think it was like a most muscular maybe and yeah,
I've
he's
seen it.
so
Yeah,
much bigger.
he's
He's
so
so much
much
bigger
bigger.
now.
He makes himself look like stringy and small. Like
Yeah.
it's his prior self.
Maybe it's in one of these. I love the graphics too, eh? He's a
He does
talented.
great with yeah.
Do you know if he does all these himself?
I don't know. I haven't asked him.
Well,
I I th- I
Steve, we're
th-
gonna give you the credit right now because we
I
don't
think he
know.
does.
They're very
I
well
think he
done.
does because I know I talked with Jess, one of his coaches, and I know she makes all her graphics. So
Cool.
I don't know if Steve outsources his, but at least he's responsible and outsources, responsible for it and outsources it,
That's right. That's right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Steve, you can consider both of us excited for your
Looking
prep.
forward to it.
Next up, we're gonna hop over to the Natty News page. Mr. Ray Drews. We talked about him, I think maybe even last week, but he threw these photos up, and I couldn't not share them on the page.
The graininess of his upper half is nuts.
Yeah, like and not talk about it on here. His back, you can see everything in his back.
Yeah. There's not a
Uh,
single grain or striation that's not visible.
yeah, he did correct me in that he's a bantamweight, not a lightweight. So a little bit lighter than I think we talked about last time, but like conditioning wise, this is just stupid.
It's very good.
Yeah. So I believe his plan is to hopefully lock in his ticket to Worlds, which would be unreal to see.
That'll be sweet.
Him next to Brett would be cool.
Brett Freeman.
Yeah.
Is Brett prepping this year? He's
I
not,
don't
is he?
no. I'm just saying.
I was saying I didn't think
As
he
a
was.
as a fan of bodybuilding,
Oh
that would
yeah,
be a cool
okay.
one to
Yeah,
see.
yeah. That would be sweet.
Anything constructive you can give the man? I think he's doing great. I think he's self-coached too.
Yeah, he's doing well. I mean, he like I said, we talked about this before. He holds his fat in his legs like I do. So it's like, his upper body looks crisp. So it's,
Yep.
I mean, he's 3.5 weeks out, another 3 weeks of dieting you'll start to see that definition in the hamstrings and in the quads that he's looking for. But like they're not far off. It's
No.
the upper body's like if you could just keep the upper body and then spot
Yeah,
reduce the fat in the legs, that'd be
right.
like golden.
Yeah.
But it does get tricky though, because like you get a situation where your upper body, like I've run into it, like your upper body looks good, and then you have to keep dieting, and then you start to get a little flat,
Faded.
stringy, and that can be a little bit difficult to
Yep.
to get that fullness back, even with a with a peak. But something I've been thinking, it might be, I don't know, for me, I might extend my peak a little bit longer and try to come up or spend a little longer period of time in at maintenance or a little bit over, just to
Yep.
just to fill back out, like coming out of this last dieting phase. Like I've noticed, like it took I mean, I didn't diet to contest level conditionings, but I noticed, like um it took a little bit for me to fill out. Like I really
Right.
noticed I was really filling out, like maybe 2-3 weeks after of maintenance. So
Right.
like I said, I wasn't in contest conditioning, but like
Even at that point.
after, and for me, like the biggest indicator is like when I start seeing veins in my legs, that's like, okay, like,
Yeah.
but like I saw like a couple here and there, like at the end of my diet, but like now lately I've been seeing them like just waking up, chilling, and I'm like, I mean, it's not, veins aren't everything, but it's like
Yeah. It's
kind
a
of a
visual
it's a
indicator,
visual
right?
indicator, like, okay, like, yeah, like things, you're looking fuller, leaner, that sort of thing. So
That's the one
uh
thing I've noticed just with the last couple of weeks is dieting. Like, through my forearms and my biceps now, there's actually some vascularity. Whereas
yeah.
before it was pretty much non-existent except for the odd one down like through here. Uh,
Yeah,
so you
and
can see that.
And Dylan White brought that up. Like, yeah, they're cool. They're not something you chase, but they can be a good
Yep,
landmark for where you're at and if things are progressing in the right direction or not. Like, oh, I
for
see a
sure.
new vein. Like, yeah, you don't need, for bodybuilding, it's not a vein contest, but it's like that's probably an indication that
Yeah.
you're leaner
Yeah. You
or
probably want,
fuller and just
yeah.
will look leaner as a result.
Yep. 100%.
So,
But
so
yeah,
he's
man, 3.5 weeks
sweet
for
for him.
Ray. Super excited. He told me he's got a top level competitor that he's got wind of that he'll be against. I did not recognize the name. I can't recall it off the top of my head. So excited that he'll have some good competition. And
Did he tell you who it is?
he did. I just don't recognize. Like I'd never heard of the name,
You got to
and
post him on the page then.
I couldn't find him.
Oh, it's someone that's completely off the grid.
Could be, yeah. Unless it was a different name. I'd never recognized it before. I tried to search it. I tried to Google it, like, WNBF so and so, but I couldn't find anything. So yeah,
There's
it
some
could
good
be.
bodybuilders that aren't on social media too. Like
Oh, for
I think
sure.
it's rarer these days. It's definitely rarer these days, but there's more than you think.
Oh yeah, even people that what now that I've started this Natty News page, my like outreach and understanding of who's out there is definitely way broader. But like every day, I feel like I'm seeing someone new. I'm just like, oh, where the heck did you come from?
Where have you yeah, where have you
Yeah,
been?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But
Um,
that's right why this page is great and this channel
yeah,
is great, because it's
yep, get the
broadening
word out.
and expanding and getting, getting eyes on some of these people that, haven't necessarily had eyes on.
Oh, for sure.
So
All right, man, Ray, you're killing it. 3.5 weeks.
looking forward to seeing it.
Next up, Mr. Sam Okunola. I think most probably will know Sam. Pretty well known in the natural realm. Very, very, very good athlete. Plenty of titles under his belt. Basically announced that he's kind of hanging the trunks up. Maybe not competing anymore. So I think that's a big hit across a lot of top level competitions. That's a big name, potentially stepping down, opening up some spots for other athletes. But what are your thoughts on that? And we talked about this briefly before we went live, but in his video, talked about, I believe he's had their second child now, just a couple months ago, 4 or 5 months. So looking to be a bit more of a family man. Obviously, bodybuilding is challenging sometimes to balance things, and especially with young kids, I can see that being very, very tricky to manage on a good day. So kudos to him for recognizing that stuff and looking to put more effort into the family side of things. And in his video he talked about people asking, well, you're not training anymore. He's like, no, of course I'm going to still train. Like I will always work out, but from a competitive standpoint, no plans potentially, definitely not in the near future, but he did allude to potentially never again.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people don't necessarily, at least people that haven't done bodybuilding, like understand what competing takes. Like
Yep.
people think like, oh, like off season is just like, oh, you're just, maybe working out a little bit, but like not really.
Yeah.
Then you're prepping or competing, like all of a sudden things like all these things change. It's like
Yeah,
basically you just starve yourself. Like
that's right.
basically that's the change that happens. So it's like, yeah, I think some people just, yeah, it's different than other sports. It's just like the competing part is just, it's just
Yeah.
it's just a lot more than another sport,
It's
so
something that like Cliff has talked about, 3DMJ, Jeff Alberts talks about this a lot, is kind of having that dimmer switch where your bodybuilding gauge is never at zero. You just kind of like let off a little bit and then you crank it up when you need to, but you're still always doing it. You know what I mean? So like you said, in the off season, it's not like you just stop working out and just eat a bunch of shit. Like you're still training, but
yeah.
you have a bit more freedom. You can enjoy, meals out and not be so strict about it. With your training, if you miss a workout, it's not the end of the world. And then in prep, that's when you kind of rev it up a little bit. And, of course, in the latter stages of prep, it just gets more and more and more. But yeah, I think that, Sam's probably going a little dimmer down on the switch for a couple years. And, you never know what the
Yeah.
future might hold. And arguably he'll come back probably better with a lot of time off, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, just not having that, like, even if you're on in an off season, like being on in an off season is just not the same as on in a
Yeah.
prep, where like you're not food focused, you're not constantly thinking about keeping your steps up and
Yeah.
getting your cardio in, and like you have more mental energy to focus. You're not irritable. Like, yeah, there's just a lot that goes on with a prep. So he's and we talked about this before, that actually this is I hadn't heard about this until you brought it up, but Sam's got a good head on his shoulders, so I would imagine he's making a good decision for him and his family. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's, a lot of, I guess we'll just say older athletes for the sake of the term, but, Brian Whitaker is someone that comes to mind. He kind of ranked bodybuilding third in his life, right? First was his family, second was his work, and then bodybuilding was always third. And I think that, when you have those changes in your life, like for Sam, expanding his family and stuff like that, bodybuilding maybe, starts to move down in the priority
Yeah.
list. And, it still gets attention, right? Like I don't let people understand me wrong in saying that all of a sudden it's like, bodybuilding doesn't matter anymore. Like he said, he's still going to train. I guarantee he's still going to probably eat frequent meals through the day with protein, that kind of stuff. I feel like once you get to especially his level, it's just who you are at that point. You still
Yeah,
train,
you
you
still
still,
love it. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's still probably very much a part of who you are. But other life factors then maybe take precedent over that as get into those life factors, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, our final one of the day. This man right here won an untested overall.
He's got
um,
one of the prettiest physiques that
yeah.
I've ever seen. Like,
So Mr. Garino Mackie, Iron Lord one on Instagram, you guys can see right there. We'll pull this photo up and show you his pretty physique, as Dan put it. Competed in an NPC show, so affiliated with the IFBB, obviously. So not a natural event. And he is a WNBF pro. He's natural. And he won the classic physique overall. So not only did he win his class, but he then strutted his way into the overall and took that too. So I guess one of the main things I wanted to touch on was the potential of, more natural athletes potentially taking the jump to untested shows, remaining natural, obviously, especially in classic physique. I mean, you look at this gentleman right here, he's got a fantastic, look. And this is something we've talked about before, whereas in natural bodybuilding, the difference between what a classic physique looks like and what a bodybuilding physique looks like. It's not as pronounced, right? When you look at the open stream, if you look at
Yeah.
Chris Bumstead and Big Ramy, I mean, that is two very different looks. Whereas you look at Carino here, I mean, he did both bodybuilding and classic at this event and did well in both, but obviously classic, he took that overall. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts about that, Dan? Like we had
Yeah.
Bob Waterhouse in
I
the
think there's definitely
UK.
opportunity for it. You definitely have to have like a full round, nice muscle bellied physique. Like you can't get away with like, just being, able to get lean.
Yeah.
Not that, some of these guys don't carry a lot of mass on them, but I mean, you could see like the full delts, the sweeping quads, the tiny waist, like the arms, like, yeah, like,
Speechless.
I mean, some guys in the WNBF, I don't know that would do that well on a classic stage in the NPC because they would just look small. They do well some often do well in the WNBF because their conditioning's nasty. You got they got cheese grater glutes and everything like that, but like, they'll just get dwarfed when it comes to like arm size and things like that.
That's
and
one
like
thing.
the side shots, it's just
That's one thing I think stands out in classic is really developed, arms, delts, that full chest, having that, that rib cage that it just like it sits on. Arnold had that back in
You
the
got
day
it.
too. I'm working on it. But when you look at Carino here, like that front double, right? Like the first thing I look at is
His
ridiculous
biceps,
biceps.
yeah, just huge. Yeah.
Which in natural bodybuilding, arms are not something you see on everybody, right? It could be genetic,
Yeah.
it could be training, it could be whatever. But when you have them, I really think it makes that classic look more classic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, there's some names like I think Kendall would do really well.
Kendo would do really well.
Bob Waterhouse obviously, did really well and got his IFBB Pro card. Do you know how tall Garino is? It said classic. Oh, what's that trophy say? Classic. Oh no, it just says overall. I think.
I don't know. Maybe you could zoom in on your phone or something.
Yeah, but it won't say what class he did. It'll just say overall. Because I'm just curious how tall he would have been too. Because sometimes
I don't know offhand.
classic favors just that taller, more streamlined look. I mean, here's a good shot, right?
That's
Side
just
chest.
nasty. His posing is like world class.
For sure. Which
too.
again, across all bodybuilding, I think that's important. But in classic, it's probably a little bit more paid attention to. But yeah, the dude looks incredible. It'd be interesting to see, like, if he pursued it more, again, remaining natural, if he would qualify for like the O or anything.
I wouldn't rule it out.
Like he looks amazing.
I think I heard a rumor that there was one natural guy that made it to the Olympia. I heard a rumor. I think I heard Guy Cisternino. I think that's how you say his last name. Said it on a podcast that somebody was a guy.
It might have been. I feel like I recall, however, Terrence being asked that on a Q&A and him.
Oh no, it was Terrence. It was Terrence that said that.
But I feel like he disputed it, if I remember correctly. I feel like he said
I could be wrong, but yeah.
You're not out to lunch. I definitely know what you're talking about. I just don't know if it's.
This is me spitballing a rumor. So like,
yeah,
I know nothing, but I'm just saying I think I might have heard, but I don't think it's impossible. Unlike the quote unquote natty or not experts might think.
That's right.
But
that's right. Yeah. So that is our final story of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you don't follow any of the gentlemen we talked about today, please show them some support. Follow them on social media. Obviously, our stuff is linked down below. Don't forget to follow us on the Natty News Daily page. And thank you again, and we'll see you guys in the next one.